What's up, everybody? Dan Tortora here of Superpowered Pop, and you know that Superpowered Pop is always inside the Parker Banner Kent and Wayne studios, and right now I am inside of Parker Banner Kent and Wayne Comics and Games on 21500 Catawba Ave, Suite A in Cornelius, North Carolina for this spoiler review. I gave you a non-spoiler right after I saw the movie. This is a spoiler review now that I have seen the movie again, and I saw it with the owner of Parker Banner Kent and Wayne, Matt, as well as Ed, and we went out and saw this movie and gave it some time so we can do a spoiler review for you. So, I thought Guy Gardner, obviously Nathan Fillion, a good actor, has done a lot of different things. And, there's some fan love for him, right? There's people that enjoy seeing him at Comic-Cons. And, the Guy Gardner that he brought us, the first live-action Green Lantern since Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, essentially. And the first one of the DCU, of this DC universe, right? And so Guy Gardner, obviously the hair was very cheesy and looked very fake, but that is true to the comics. I thought Green Lantern was cool. I thought the power definitely showed how powerful the Green Lantern is. So that was really awesome, just seeing him just take it to these tanks with just giant hands and hands that are punching and throwing things and flicking things off and whatnot. Hawkgirl with her shriek, that was not carried over well. Anyone who I know that has seen the movie that I've talked with about Superman, they were not a fan of the Hawkgirl shriek. So that was one thing. Maybe reminds you of the goats that were in Thor Love and Thunder, Thor 4. But Hawkgirl, we could be looking into her dark story inside of the DCU. I believe I saw somewhere that potentially we may be getting her backstory movie or something of Hawkgirl to show us just kind of the darkness of the character potentially. I think that would be interesting to look into. And, I thought Mr. Terrific was terrific. Kind of the Iron Man of this universe of the DCU so far inside of Chapter 1, which is Gods and Monsters, of seeing all of his technology, the fact that he is sitting in this chair and he is able to, even though he can't fly, he's created the technology where he can, and he's surrounded by all of what do they call them, circles? And he's like, and he says that circles are one-dimensional, and so he talks about having these spheres. And so I think, Mr. Terrific, the fight scene where he gives a shield, like a dome shield around Lois, and they just turn the music up, and he fights everyone with his technology by himself. That was really cool to show that he has some fighting skills, and obviously his technology helps him out as well. That fight scene was really, really cool. And really awesome that it was to this music, which was a cool part. And then, seeing kind of going with that, seeing that Lex Luthor he's created a pocket universe and a dangerous place, a wormhole. So we hear about these, potential black holes, a black hole, pardon me. We've heard about black holes and wormholes and what this could look like for the Fantastic Four, and James Gunn got to it first with Superman coming out before Fantastic Four. So I thought that was kind of cool that he got out to some of this and put that out there, and that Mr. Terrific comes out before Mr. Fantastic was kind of funny. Seeing Supergirl in this movie, she comes in as a drunk young girl, like a drunk college girl is kind of how she comes in, like a sorority girl. So not a big cameo, but a cameo. And speaking of cameos, we do see Peacemaker. He's getting interviewed on a late night show, late night, the news and whatnot. So I thought that was cool because I'm looking forward to Peacemaker season 2. Big fan of John Cena. I've met John Cena. He was my favorite wrestler of more recent times, and then I got to meet him in person. Super nice to me, and I definitely walked out of that saying he was my favorite wrestler, and now he definitely continues to be my favorite modern wrestler. And I also like to watch him act, so I'm looking forward to Peacemaker and seeing what that's going to be. They definitely go into some weird worlds there with Peacemaker, and I look forward to what we'll see with him coming up here. But, obviously having him, so we know that Peacemaker, the John Cena, Peacemaker is in this DCU because Superman is the jump off to this DCU with Creature Commandos. And then, speaking of Creature Commandos, seeing Rick Flag, what I love that James Gunn is doing is instead of having this disjointed, just totally detached, confusing DC TV and DC movies, and then you got 3 different Jokers at one point in live action, that all of this is essentially going away. There is the Elseworlds portion of it, which apparently the Batman and the Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson, that's in Elseworlds, and the Joaquin Phoenix Joker is in Elseworlds. Thank goodness, because the first Joker with Joaquin Phoenix was good, and then Joker Folie à Deux was really just a slap in the face to the first Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. I don't know why they wouldn't just continue to the tone of that first Joker to have the second one be a continuation of that, or just not make anything at all. Folie à Deux was nothing, didn't hold a candle to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker that came before it, which I thought was really just a movie about mental illness and all of that. So I would say that, seeing that Peacemaker is now in this world, and like I said, Creature Commandos, Rick Flag, and then we see Rick Flag and Superman. What I like that James Gunn is doing is he said, and I was at the panel because Superpowered Pop has covered New York Comic Con for many years, so I was at the panel with James Gunn and, a bunch of the actors and whatnot. So David Harbour was there, who plays Frankenstein, and like I said, we got to see Rick Flag, who we also know, the actor to be Crossbones in Captain America. But what he said in that panel at New York Comic Con last year in 2024 is he spoke about the fact, James Gunn said, whoever's in the cartoons, whoever, cartoon, live action TV, whatever, we're going to have one of each. So if you voice the character in the cartoon and we do a live action with that character, then the person who voiced that character will play the live action version. So David Harbour, who plays Frankenstein's monster, would be Frankenstein's monster in live action. Rick Flag, voicing him, you're Rick Flag in live action. So he's taking it to the nth degree. I love it that there's one DC universe, not all this disjointed stuff. And with that being said, I would love to see Grant Gustin become the Flash in this DCU. I think that would be absolutely amazing because Grant Gustin did a fantastic job, and The Flash is one of my favorite all-time shows of any genre, and was at one point my favorite show on television of every show put together, no matter what the genre was. I absolutely love The Flash. Still collecting those on DVD because I don't want to be at the mercy of having it on and taking off of streaming. So to me, I want to have all those hard copies of The Flash with Grant Gustin because they are phenomenal, and I love the world building in the Arrowverse, and then with The Flash and Center City and all that stuff. So I think I think I love what James Gunn is doing with that, seeing Rick Flag. And this Lex Luthor, I really did like Nicholas Hoult, the work that he did with his Lex Luthor. Thought he did a good job. And finally getting to see Crypto was really, really cool. And how much you could see James Gunn and the writers and everybody, like the people working on the DC universe, how much they care about every living being. They showed Superman cares about every human being and also cares about every single animal of any kind, any shape, any size. Saving a squirrel. Is that Chip, the future Green Lantern? That's what Matt Milburn and I were talking about. Could be. Who knows? So, but, the Justice Gang, not a great name. I would definitely say that. But, to see already a team up, that's a good part of it too. I like this Lois. I like this Jimmy Olsen. Definitely, the Daily Planet. I like the way that they did it when they first show the Daily Planet and you kind of hear that, news type of the breaking news music and whatnot. I mean, it was comic booky. It was a colorful movie. I think, you stay true to what characters look like. You definitely have the colorfulness of it. And, Superman being told in this story, we see an older version of his parents. We have a country accent version of his parents, which we typically don't see, even though they're always out in the boons, right, out in the middle of nowhere. And so I did like his parents. I did enjoy that. Might be because the actor that plays his father reminds me of one of my friends. But, there was seeing that was unique and interesting. And then ultimately, I think, this story of Superman's jurisdiction, right? Does he have any right? Does he answer to the U.S. government? And so when he makes a decision, is it the United States making a decision? Is it the president making a decision? Does he have any right to stop anybody? And when he's doing that interview with Lois, and he says, innocent people were going to die, like people were going to die. And so to him, he didn't think about what's diplomatic, what is this, do I have jurisdiction? Do I have to ask someone's permission? He thought that he has the right anywhere in the world to protect humanity, to protect animals, to protect life anywhere and everywhere, that every beating heart, every soul matters, whether it's in an animal or it's in a human being. So there is that side to that, and that element of it, that he is not an American, and that he is, essentially, and that he talks about being human, that he truly is human. And that's something that Lex has never understood, and he hopes that Lex can understand that one day. And knowing that Lex, this Lex Luthor has studied Superman for so many years, that he has essentially put a team together, and this team is working like a game simulation in real life that is studying the moves to kind of anticipate Superman, and that's how he beats him up with Ultraman, and then Ultraman being a clone of Superman, and then he goes he's inside of something, so it's not like he goes into the black hole with no protection. He's actually inside of, this glass protective thing that he goes into the black hole inside of, and I think that could be the story of him coming back as Doomsday to kind of play off of the newest iteration of Superman, which was the TV show Superman and Lois. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely say that you should. There's 3 seasons of it, and it's absolutely worth watching. The acting is great. I thought the story was awesome, and it had me locked in. Once I started watching, I had to watch 4 or 5 episodes, watching until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, I think this version of Superman and dealing with kind of a Sokovia Accord type of thing of, what is his jurisdiction is new, and seeing him after he's already started dating Lois. And then the whole thing about, in the comic books, when he puts his glasses on and changes his hair, that people don't know that he's Superman. But obviously, if I put glasses on right now and were to change my hairstyle, you would still know that it's me. So it's been like one of those things in the comic book that does that even translate, and can people believe that when you're going to watch this movie and you want to believe that this can be a real life thing? And so what they do to change that in this movie is they say that when Clark puts on his glasses, his glasses distort what human beings see. So instead of saying like, oh, he's Clark Kent, and with the glasses on, he takes them off and he's Superman and nobody can tell, there's how they get past that thing that doesn't really translate from comic book to watching it on the big screen, is that putting these glasses on, there's technology within the glasses that distort his face. Now, we never see that. I think one of the post-credit scenes would be cool. Somebody working at the Daily Planet, Clark puts his glasses on, and when he puts the glasses on, you actually see him change, in our view, of Clark to some other actor, right? We see a totally different face. And that would be kind of cool to see that, to kind of go with that story, because we never get to see him through anybody else's eyes to see what these glasses show, and do they show a different person every person, or is it the same person just obviously not looking like Clark? But that was a way for them to get over the kind of a very non-believable story of putting glasses on would make people not know who you are. So, there's that piece of it. Like I said, Lex Luthor with Ultraman could end up being Doomsday. We see Supergirl, we see Peacemaker. So we do get to get a feel for those cameos. And And, you know, the Green Lantern Corps, we're going to see them coming up. So Guy Gardner, getting to watch his power, like I said, was really, really cool. I look forward to seeing the stories, but the world building, for this being the first live action movie inside of James Gunn's and Peter Safran's DCU, this new DC universe of connected cartoons as well as TV shows and movies, to already have a team up, to already have Superman and Lois be dating, so she obviously already knows who he is by the time that we see this movie, and to already have Crypto, to already have Supergirl, and to already be in this pocket universe, and to see this, you know, it's not just simply one universe. I think the world building that James Gunn did in this movie is substantial. To do a first movie in the DCU, it's almost like taking the Iron Man that we saw in 2008 and just having him meet Thor, and having him meet Hulk, and he's already on another planet and he knows who Thanos is. So it's a lot to put in this movie, but I didn't think that any of it seemed too forced. And then really getting to see the pocket universe and the jail, and how we have captives in each piece of this, and really not getting to, I mean, we get to see the Element Man. I thought he was cool, and he's joining the Justice Gang. So that was another good piece of it. I thought that was a well-done character, and him creating kryptonite, which was Lex Luthor's workaround of no more kryptonite being on Earth. But I think it would be cool, and it would have been nice in post-credits scene to not only see what the glasses do to distort Clark's face to people, but also if we could see maybe some other cameos of people being held by Lex Luthor in this pocket universe. That would have been cool to world build and show future stories. But ultimately, I liked the movie. I liked it the first time I saw it. I liked it the second time I saw it. I'd love to know your thoughts, and you can obviously send them to us. But like I said, we're always inside of the Parker Banner Kent and Wayne studios on Superpowered Pop in our travels, and when we're back in the physical studio. And here right now, we are physically in Parker Banner Kent and Wayne, 21500 Catawba Ave, Suite A, Cornelius, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte, and the only place that you need to go for your comic book and gaming needs. We look forward to talking with you soon. Enjoy your movies, and remember to come here when we have interviews with actors and actresses, illustrators, writers, non-spoiler reviews, spoiler reviews, and a bunch of other stuff that we do along the way. And as always, remember that your true hero lies within. This is Dan Tortora. You've been watching Superpowered Pop, and PBKW is the place to be. We'll talk with you soon.